We have more than 2,000 master's and bachelor's programs. You can see them on our site. I will shortly share the link with you to the study finder, which is this database here where you can search through programs taught in English using many different filters, like looking for a tuition-free program or looking for a program in Berlin because you really want to live in Berlin or anywhere else, and many, many other filters. We have more than 60 comprehensive and detailed articles over different topics about studying in Germany. Whether it's information about the German higher education system's reaction to the COVID-19 pandemic, or whether it's applying for a visa or how to apply via UniAssist, we have all of these topics in detail in these articles and have step-by-step guides for you to follow. We also host free webinars for you, just like this one. We have approximately 150 a year over different topics and in different languages as well. We can host these webinars in different languages because we have a very international team. We're all based remotely around the world. I myself am joining you from Berlin. Patricia is in Spain. We have colleagues in China, Brazil, and elsewhere. And our team is very international. We all speak many languages, and that's how we can host them. Patricia and I also enjoy hosting webinars in Spanish from time to time. So this is also a way we can reach out to more students. But that brings us back to our topic for today. I'm going to hand it back over now and go to the chat section and answer your questions in the Q&A. Even though you cannot use the chat function in Zoom, please pay attention to it because I will be sending you some important and useful links. The first links which I will share will be to the programs and the universities that we're featuring today, so you can already start looking at the programs and prepare your questions for the Q&A session. Please take advantage of this unique opportunity to talk directly to affiliates of these programs. I'll turn my camera off now, have a fun webinar, and I'll see you in the Q&A section.
Thanks, Jasmine. Perfect. Well, as you can see, you already can start asking your questions. Let me be honest, this is really a unique opportunity because usually students don't have the option to talk directly to professors or university representatives from universities in Germany. So start asking your questions in the Q&A section. Right now, for the start, all the guest speakers will go into the background, will turn their camera off, but when there is their turn, you will be able to talk to them directly. But you can stay, you can still already ask your questions in the Q&A, and they will read them, and they will also be able to answer them while I'm talking. So you will join them again shortly. And now to start, let me tell you something about myself before I start talking about my German university and studying IT, computer science, software engineering. My name is Patricia, and I was also an international student myself. I was born in Peru, and I came to Germany some years ago to study economics in Berlin at Humboldt University in Berlin. So this is the first experience I had with studying in Germany as an international student. That's the reason why I know how it works, what you need to do in order to apply, and all the things an international student needs to go through when they want to study in Germany, in English or in German. I actually made my degree in German, but you don't have to. You can study in English. Actually, both programs are going to be in English today, so you can benefit from that option. But I also have experience working before working for my German university. I used to work for the DAD and the Goethe Institute in Peru. Probably you heard of the DAD. This is probably the biggest scholarship organization there is in Germany that grants scholarships to international students to come to study in Germany. And probably you also already heard about the Goethe Institute. The Goethe Institute is the cultural organization, the cultural institute in Germany, in the world, that teaches German and teaches about German culture. So this is how I also have experience regarding other topics like learning the language and applying for scholarships, etc. Okay, but now let's go into the topic of today. I want to show you our presentation. Here it is, study IT, computer science, software engineering in Germany. This is a very special topic. I hope you can see my presentation well. So I want to dive into the topic of today. But before going into it, I want to tell you how we are organizing the webinar. In the first part, I'm going to give you a short overview about which study programs are offered and how to find the right university. And in the second part of the webinar, you will hear from Professor Ruppel and Professor Liebelt about their programs, about the Bachelor and about the Master program. This is actually the biggest part of the webinar, where you will be also able to ask for your questions, ask more questions, although you can already start asking questions. Okay, so to the first topic, how to find the right program for me. There are two main databases to find study programs in Germany. On the one side, you have Hochschulkompass. Hochschulkompass is actually the biggest database offered by the German Rectors Conferences. It shows all programs in German and also in English. If you are looking to study in Germany, in German, we really recommend you use Hochschulkompass. For example, in this database, you will find almost 1,500 degree programs related to computer science and software engineering. And almost 200 of them will be in English. This is especially for the German part, for the ones that want to study in German. But if you want to study in English, of course, we recommend you to use our study finder. It is the largest database of degree programs solely taught in English. We really specialize in English taught programs. In our study finder, you'll find almost 300 degree programs related to today's subject. So now to the second question. You are probably asking yourself, how do I find the right program and university? Well, the first recommendation, read the article that also Jasmine is going to share regarding our subject, studying computer science in Germany. We've written a very comprehensive article where you'll find an overview of all the important information you need to know. For example, you will see that most study programs offered do not charge tuition fees to international students. Actually, more than 60% of the total do not charge any tuition fee, which is really a good news. You can also choose when to start. You will see that most programs start in the winter semester, which is a common thing, but you also have programs that start in the summer semester. You will also, and very important, will be able to see the language requirements that you have to comply in order to apply for a program. Here we show the two most important, IELTS and TOEFL, but please take into account that each program has different language requirements and also may accept different certificates. So to be completely sure, it is always better to check directly with the university. Okay, and last but not least, many people want to know about ranking. But let me be honest, we recommend you not to decide just guided by rankings. Take them into account, but don't overestimate it. Actually, our recommendation is to look for the right university profile and study program for you. Take fees and rankings and names and cities also into consideration because they may be important to you, but try to analyze the big picture, try to search for the best option using all the available variables. Okay, one important fact or information I want to provide you today is regarding the type of universities you will find in Germany. This is very important because many students don't know this. They don't know, or you don't know probably, that in Germany there are two types of universities. You have the normal universities in German called Universitäten. In this group, you have, for example, the technical universities that specialize in STEM subjects like science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And here you have some examples like TUM in Munich, or Aachen, or KIT in Karlsruhe, or TU Berlin, etc. But you also have a different type of university that is called University of Applied Sciences. And actually, both of our guests today are universities of applied science. Deggendorf, the Deggendorf Institute of Technology is a public university of applied sciences, and Code Berlin is a private university of applied science. Okay, and probably now you're wondering, what is the difference between a university and a university of applied science? Well, let me explain it to you. First of all, here is what they have in common. Both offer bachelor and master programs. Both are equally recognized. Both give you equal job opportunities in a variety of sectors. Now, what are the differences? Well, on the one side, universities offer all subjects of study, from medicine to law, humanities, etc. And at the university, you can study a PhD. Usually at the University of Applied Science, you can't, but there are some exceptions. And the biggest difference is universities are more focused on theory and research, while universities of applied science are more focused on practical application. You will see professors at universities study for a long time. They have a PhD and they also have an habilitation, while professors at universities of applied sciences also have a PhD, but also have at least 3 years of professional experience in the industry. And this is very helpful if you are looking for a program that is more practical oriented. Universities tend to be larger and have more students, and they also tend to be present in international rankings because these rankings give a big importance to research, which is mainly made in universities. Okay, that being said, I already talked too much, and now it's time for the juicy part of this webinar. First of all, I want to present you. Let me introduce you our first special guest of the day, Professor Dr. Peter Ruppel. As I told you, he's head of software engineering at Code University of Applied Sciences in Berlin, and he will present the Bachelor in Software Engineering. About Berlin, you probably already know some facts about the German capital. And I have to say, I'm probably a little bit biased because I live in this amazing city for 5 years. Okay, let's give a warm welcome to Professor Ruppel.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for having me. Thanks for the invitation. Welcome, everyone. Great to be here and to introduce to you Code University of Applied Sciences and the study program Software Engineering. Let me briefly share my screen. So as we have a quite international audience joining us today, it's maybe important to start with an explanation of what code is. Code University of Applied Sciences is a quite special institution when it comes to the German landscape of universities and universities of applied sciences. We have founded this institution in the year 2017, And since then, it has grown to 500 students at the moment, offering 3 different study programs: software engineering, which is the largest student number-wise, and as well as product management and interaction design. And before talking about the study program software engineering in more detail, it is important to note why Code was founded in the first place. And one of the really important aspects here is that we believe that education in general needs a change, because the education we are seeing today at many places around the world hasn't been able to keep up with the change in the world and with the technological progress. And that's why Code has developed a quite different learning concept, which we call curiosity-driven education. And one of the main important aspects of this concept is that we offer a project-based learning approach, meaning that students are working on real-life projects, are working on problems that they have selected on their own. Every semester, students can decide on the topic, the project they want to work on, the topic they want to study. And they typically team up in small groups with other students and then realize that project. And we, the professors, we act mostly as mentors, as consultants to the students, which is also why you will not find big lectures or written exams at Code. And I think it's very important to state in the beginning that this is a quite different approach from many other study programs. And also, it's important that the methods you will find in teaching are also very much centered around concepts that are not like a traditional lecture. We really tried to enable students to have discussions in smaller groups, apply peer-to-peer learning, doing flipped classroom teaching approaches, and so on. Also, a really important part of all our study programs actually is an additional program which we call Science, Technology, and Society. You can think of it of basic education in liberal arts, because we think that it is also really important, especially in these times, to develop really critical judgment and to also always question the developments, especially when developing future digital products. So there are many different courses and also actually mandatory topics for all our students in this program that are part also of the study program software engineering. Our study programs are structured in a way that they all start with a quite structured first orientation semester. And also for software engineering students, that means that we offer a more guided approach to learn about the basics of software engineering. That's also why knowing how to code is not a requirement to get admitted to Code. However, after this first orientation semester, we really then encourage our students to define their own curriculum, define their own projects, define the topics they want to learn, identify modules they want to take in our curriculum. And the final semester is then centered around a larger capstone project combined with a bachelor thesis that concludes the study program. Now, for software engineering, in detail, there are several important basic topics that are mandatory for all our students. And in this list, you will find topics like algorithms, data structures, basic concepts of programming languages, databases, but also to learn how to collaboratively develop software, which is one of the most important aspects, I would say, in software engineering. And this is also something that puts it a little bit apart from traditional computer science, where there is here less theory and more practical aspects of how do we actually build large-scale digital products in a collaborative manner. But of course, aspects like cybersecurity, automated software testing are also part of that. In addition to that, students can select from a wide range of other topics they want to specialize in throughout their studies. Many students, they select topics around more traditional web backend development, for example, maybe in combination with some cloud computing topics. Other students really like to specialize deeper in artificial intelligence and machine learning. But then we have also other modules and course offerings that center more around hardware-related software engineering, Internet of Things, sensors, and all kinds of network-related topics. And of course, there are also several mathematical modules offered, which is also an important part for software engineers. Last but not least, students can also select from a wide range of other modules from other study programs too, if they want to intermix these topics with, for example, some design-specific topics or some product development-specific topics. Overall, I can also say a little bit about our campus, which is located in Berlin. It's a really nice place to be there and to study. So we also hope that the pandemic allows us to make more use of our campus in the near future. We also were one of the universities who made a very, very early transition into a remote first teaching approach, which we are also currently doing. But still, with some limitations, the campus can currently, of course, be used to some extent. We also do have a quite extensive partner network with companies where we closely work together, and where also students are encouraged to work on their project together with partner organizations. Maybe some sentences about our admission process. Last year, our overall admission or overall acceptance rate was 24%. We have a process in which we ask students to start with a written application. There is a really nice challenge students will get then. There's a whole admission day, which we run. And what's really important maybe to say is that we are mainly looking for students with the right mindset to join code and to join code community here. And as I said before, knowing how to code is not such a requirement. We also, as we are a private university of applied sciences, we also ask our students for a tuition. Our tuition model is, on the other hand, is a quite fair one because in addition to being able to pay a monthly fee, we also have teamed up with the Chancen EG, which offers a income share agreement. That means that during the time of study, students do not need to pay any fees. And after they graduate, then they will pay back a certain percentage of their pre-tax income for the upcoming years, but only if they reach a minimum income threshold. And that also allows students from all different backgrounds to join our study program. A few numbers. We have 500 students. We have a 20% non-male student percentage. Our student body is very, very international. We have students from 70 different nationalities around the world. It's a very international English-only speaking community. And it's also maybe important to state that code students are quite ambitious. They win a lot of competitions and hackathons. They establish some really cool and successful events in Berlin and in Germany. And our overall learning approach has become a reputed role model in education innovation over the past years in Germany, and we have received several awards for that. Overall, we can also say that our students are quite successful, not only after their graduation, but also already while studying. We see several of our students launching their own startup. So the whole topic of entrepreneurship, it's also a really important one in our institution. And we have also last year launched our own startup incubator where students can basically launch their own company and can grow that and can experiment with their project ideas while they are studying software engineering or one of the other study programs. If you want to learn more, here's the link to our website again. You can find us on the regular social media channels. And we have also an event upcoming on March 16th. This is a remote open house day where you can learn more. You can also meet more students and more members of the faculty and the team. And if you consider applying for Code, there are two important deadlines. I guess for most of our audience today, the second one applies. So if you need a visa to come to Germany, the deadline to apply to Code for the fall semester would be the 6th of June. And again, I'd be happy to take also questions. I understood, Patricia, that we first have the next talk now and then have the Q&A session. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ruppel. It was very interesting. I already see some questions I selected for you, but we have the Q&A section at the end. I think we will be able to answer the questions there.
Thank you very much.
Well, now, please give me the opportunity to introduce our second special guest of the day. It is Professor Dr. Helena Liebelt, who is Head of IT and Professor of Computer Science at Deggendorf Institute of Technology. And Professor Liebelt will present the Master of Science in High Performance Computing, Quantum Computing. For those of you who never heard of Deggendorf before, this is a very nice city located in the state of Bavaria, in the south part of Germany, near to Munich and also near to the border with the Czech Republic and Austria. So please, let's give a warm welcome to Professor Liebelt.
I hope you can hear me now. Excellent. So, thank you so much for being able to present today. But first of all, let me start in telling you that I myself am an immigrant to Germany. So I arrived in Germany at the age of 12 without any knowledge of the German language. But Germany is very welcoming, right? And as you can see, if you put your mind to it and you're willing to work, you can achieve pretty much everything. Okay? So let me tell you a little bit about where this university is located. As you can see at the pretty picture, this is in Bavaria, actually one of the most beautiful states in Germany. It is quite large, with a big population of about 12 million people, and a huge budget dedicated to science, research, and art. So, our campus, so basically we have a number of different locations around our main campus, which is located in a small town with a population of about 37,000 people, which is quite small, and the number of students is about to reach the 10,000 marker, so we are growing repeatedly in the 26 years of age that we are right now. We also have 8 faculties, 10 research campuses, and 30 research groups. So all of that quite dispersed in a number of different topics. This is a technical university, so much of that is focused actually around technology and application of such. I also put out on the side that we have about 29% of our students from outside Germany. So we are actually the most international university in Bavaria and one of the most international ones in Germany as well. Yeah, I have also summarized what we are actually offering. So 33 bachelor degrees, 5 of which are in English, also 19 master degrees, 12 of which are in English. And the degree I'm presenting today will also be held in the English language. So the topic or the theme of this degree is high performance computing, HPC, and quantum computing. As you can see in this picture, what does it actually mean, right? Quantum computing, you've heard it, I'm sure, a lot recently, but it's not just a buzzword. Quantum computing is actually the next evolutionary step in computer science. And it's not that far out, to be honest. So if you looked at the news, at the past news, companies like Google and IBM have already summarized or already shown us that we can achieve the quantum supremacy. So basically, there is clear data then that in some respects, quantum computing can be and is actually faster and useful in some fields. So I've put here on this slide just a few of them. So climate research, cryptography, and pharmacology are the typical fields, are the low-hanging fruits for the next decade to look into when we are talking quantum computing. But quantum computing is a field that is new and young and being built. You have to remember that in the next decade, or potentially a bit longer, you will need a second technology as well. You will also need skills in HPC, and that is high performance computing, right? So I myself have a strong background in HPC, coming from the industry, as many of my colleagues do as well, right? So here we will be able to support you with the knowledge, with the network, to actually become experts in those two particular areas. So what does our course actually mean? By the end of the 3 semesters, which are about 1.5 years, you will receive, if and when you're successful, a master's degree in science. The start of this particular degree is in October. And I have to tell you, this will be the first semester, the first one with this particular topic. So this is brand new. My university, and actually this is my alma mater, so I came back as a professor. This should tell you how awesome it is. This university is also one of the most innovative ones. So what we're trying to do is always to look into the future. What technologies are on the horizon? How is the science developing? What is the requirement from the industry? Where is all of this going, right? And according to those requirements, we are developing the courses. And as you can see here, one of them will be quantum computing starting this fall. As I also told you, the language in which we will be teaching is English. So that should also be helpful, particularly to international students. What are the requirements? And I have to tell you, the most important one is actually the thirst for knowledge and curiosity, right? You have to be curious and agile in your mind. And this is, again, not just a buzzword, but a real requirement. If you look at the traditional computing you have right now, you're usually working with the zeros and ones, right? So this is conventional, traditional digital computing. If you look at quantum computing, you are working in quantum dots. Like you don't have the heads and tails, but you can have heads and tails simultaneously, or a combination of those. So the thinking is different from what you used to have in the traditional computing. So you have to be agile in your mind to actually be able to think differently, think outside the box. Also, which is very important, is not just the programming in such, but also to be able to imagine what could be possibly done using this brand new technology, right? What are the application fields? Where can this be useful? With quantum computing, you basically have a new shiny tool, a new hammer in your hand. And now you are on the track to go and find the nails you can use the hammer for, right? You have to find the problems. And for that, you need a specific set of mind, the curiosity to go out and look for problems you can solve. Again, with this course, the language requirement is B2, but we have a very, very good support in this field. So if you have any questions, I'm sure you can look at our website, and there's a whole department that will support you with responding to your questions. Good news again for you, there will be no tuition fees. We are state funded. So the only fee you will have to pay if you join our university is the 62 euros student service per semester. General information is attached. I'm sure our host will be sharing those links later in the presentation. So what can you do with this degree? Also probably quite interesting for you. You can do a whole lot. So by the end of this 1.5 semesters, you will receive a whole set of different skills, and we will look at them in the next slide. So when you receive those skills, you will be able to do a whole series of different things, starting from looking at the infrastructure, right? To build a new HPC system, like a very huge machine, you need to look into infrastructure, into housing, to be able to actually build the system and house the system, and to administrate the system. And you will receive the skills here. That goes for HPC and quantum computing as well. You will be able to actually apply your skills in programming, in software design. Again, the classical HPC environment is quite different from the new upcoming quantum computing environment. So you will have the tools to actually be able to work both. But this is not all. You will also receive additional skills in economics, for example. So what you will be able to do is apply your knowledge in technology and actually design new products, design new services. And for that, you obviously need some economics knowledge. And this is, again, a very lucrative field to look forward to. So innovation management is also on this slide. We have at this university a startup campus, which is not new. We've been doing it for a number of years now. Basically, the students who are starting their work here, the education in here, will also be able to apply their knowledge in becoming self-reliant, in building their ideas into products. And the university is supporting you with that as well. So the innovation management is not just a course. You can actually apply your knowledge and use your knowledge in developing your new shiny thing. Let's look at the modules. There are basically 4 of them. So there is, if you look at the 3 semesters, there is this hardware design and energy efficiency. If you look at HPC, energy cost is amazing. So the average cost, energy cost in a data center is about 50% of the overall cost, right? This is huge. So we will teach you to look and optimize the energy cost. Software design and performance optimization. This is where the power comes from, right? So the computing power and how to utilize it. Here you will learn that. So this is advanced mathematics, applied mathematics, optimization methodology and methods. This is the second part. And the third part is system design administration. So here you will actually learn how to design the machine and how to use it, how to utilize it. The 4th module is below, at the bottom, and this is the interdisciplinary content. So here is basically the economics, the engineering, and all the electives that go into it. Okay? So here is again just split up the same content. the module content, so basically the programming and the design of the of that top part is split it in the first part. Then you have the second one focusing on quantum, basically the quantum mechanics, hardware platforms, and those things. And the electives and the general things, which is infrastructure and things like that. So this is basically it. I'm looking for your questions. Just on my last comment, if you look into studying HPC and quantum computing, you have to be aware that when you're done, you will be counting as one of the very few in the whole world. This master's program is the first in all of Germany focusing on quantum computing, not providing just 1 or 2 courses, but a full master's program. And this goes for worldwide as well. There are not that many who are offering this new and amazingly interesting field for study. So when you're done in 1.5 years, you will be one of the very few out there that are actually able to design the systems, work them, and be on the forefront of technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Liebelt. I was really impressed by both of you. Although I am not a major in computer science or software engineering, I feel like I'm thinking about these topics when you are talking, also Professor Ruppel, about software engineering and quantum computing. Before going to some questions I selected for you, I want to mention to everybody, to all the students, please, you have now a little bit more than 10 minutes. Take this time to really ask questions. You have here 2 professors from 2 different universities that will be able to answer really, really insightful topics about the subjects you want to study. I've seen some questions regarding requirements and age limits, etc. Those are also important. For those, you can also we will also give you the contact information in order to ask directly to university. But I would really encourage you to use these next 10 minutes to ask subject-related questions, because so is a way you can benefit from both professors answering questions regarding the topics you want to study. So that being said, also take into consideration, Jasmine just shared, well, she was sharing in the chat the links to both of the programs and to both of the universities in case you want to search for requirements, documents in order to apply, etc. From the questions I've seen, for example, let me tell you, to the students that ask for any information regarding the previous degree in order to apply. For the bachelor program, you will probably need to make a Studienkolleg. We have special information for that. You can, actually, Jasmine can share with you information and articles regarding Studienkolleg. Studienkolleg is a 1-year course where you learned the subjects related to the bachelor you want to study. This is regarding the questions of requirements in order to apply. And for the masters at Deggendorf, you have to comply with the requirements Professor Liebelt showed regarding your previous degree, and also regarding, please also check the language requirements regarding certificates and etc. We have, for example, a question regarding age of the former program. Does it play any role? I would say no, but I want you to just confirm in both cases that if the student studied 10 years ago and wants to apply for a bachelor or a master, is there any any problem, or is it possible?
I think it's very possible.
Age is not an issue at all. Also at Code, we have a very diverse set of students. Most of them are, of course, younger. Some of them already have lots of professional experiences, including having finished a master's degree beforehand. No, age is not a topic at all.
Perfect. Regarding, for example, here is a question for the master program. Is it necessary to already have some knowledge about quantum physics, or in which degree you will need to know about quantum physics, or just the basics? Professor, yeah, the audio was a little bit off.
You have to say that in order to start with the master's program, you have to have already a bachelor's degree in either mathematics, physics, or a related field, right? If you are if you have a degree in mathematics, you obviously will not have a deep understanding of quantum theory. We will be able to help you with that. So there will be some electives to actually fill the gaps between the different bachelor degrees. So we will get you at the same level at some point, right? So that is covered, but you have to have at least a degree in those particular fields. So you can actually start from a decent level, right?
Perfect. We have more questions, for example, regarding, well, there is about the requirements I've mentioned about the previous degree. There were also several questions regarding the opportunities to learn German in both cases, and to have job opportunities also, because one knows the German language. How do you see it as professionals teaching in English and giving probably an advice to students that want to work in Germany in English or in German? What would you advise those students?
Helena, would you like to go first?
Please go ahead.
I would say in Germany, it really depends on the region and the city, first of all. If we are looking at major German cities like Berlin, for example, or Munich, and especially if we look into the startup scene and everything, everything is in English. And also in the major cities, just speaking English is just fine. However, in Germany, we also have a lot of smaller companies on the countryside, and for many such smaller companies, I think many of them are still trapped in a rather German-speaking environment. This is transforming at the moment, but when working in tech, when working in IT, I think if we look at the major players, the major companies, they all are really transitioning fast to English. Some jobs, of course, still do have these requirements in their job descriptions, but this is changing. And from my experience, especially for example, in our city in Berlin, where we are located, this is a very international environment, and many students come with English speaking skills. And of course, we also offer support for German courses, and there are many programs available to also learn German along the way. But again, it's not a requirement for the study program.
This is exactly the case I'm seeing as well. For the particular master's program in quantum computing and HPC, this is such a heavy field, right? And when you're done, you will particularly focus on the multinationals and on the big companies, on the big research institutes that are actually able to work in this field, right? And those guys are usually speaking English. So English in IT, particularly in heavy IT fields like HPC and quantum, English is the lingua franca, yeah. So you will be speaking English anyway. don't worry about that.
There is also from some students the question, we were talking about it before starting the webinar, how do you see the future months? How do you think in both universities will be, I mean, we are teaching now online and it's working, like in both cases it works, but do you have any ideas, or you can tell the students how the next semester, for example, the next winter semester will look like at your universities?
We don't have a crystal ball. All we can do is guess. It depends on how the pandemic is developing. And I think it goes for all of us. But again, informatics, computer science, we're in the business of connecting, right? We are a digital field. So we are, of course, obviously equipped in delivering those contents virtually, in a digital manner. So this has worked out quite well in the last 2 semesters. And I'm very confident it will work out regardless whether we will be on site. I would love to see you, all of you, or whether it will be just a virtual digital session. We will make the best of it, and I'm pretty confident it will work out.
Yeah, similar for us. Of course, we would love to fully return to campus as soon as possible, but that's not in our hands at the moment. Also, for studying software engineering, this fortunately does not require complex lab environment or hardware and stuff like that. So it is possible to do this remotely. Of course, I have to admit that studying is, of course, not only about learning how to program or learning the theory. Studying is also about building a community and about meeting other students. And this is something that is not easy in the pandemic. And we also try to do our best to strengthen the community by additional types of events and offerings that are not centered around a particular module or technical subject, but really about getting people to know each other and to make friends and to create long-lasting professional relations that also last beyond the studies. And I think this is something where we all are really challenged at the moment, because yes, online collaboration, online remote coding classes, we can do that. The online community, that's, I think, the really challenging part.
Yeah, I think you're right. We have a couple of minutes, and I want to ask just a couple of questions. For example, there is one for the bachelor's program in code asking about the course content updated to match current trends in technology. I mean, from your presentation, one can already see that you are very into the future, but could you explain maybe some of examples regarding?
Yes. So I would say that in some cases also our students define and spot current trends, sometimes even faster, as students are very free in the technologies, in the frameworks, programming languages they can use to apply the corresponding methods. We see all kinds of cutting edge, bleeding edge programming languages and concepts showing up and being used. And at the same time, due to the very intense connection to our industry partners, we are also in constant, very close contact via project collaboration with what is currently being done in the industry and what kind of technologies are currently being used in actual industry projects. So, and I would say that together is a pretty good approach to stay up to date every semester.
Perfect. And there is also one question for Professor Liebelt regarding the requirement to know how to code before applying for the master's program. Is it determinant requirement, or one needs to have some basics and it's okay?
And I can tell you some of the languages are quite easy. Or if you speak one or two human languages, like spoken languages, the programming languages are not that difficult to learn. My kids learned that over the weekend, so that's not that difficult. You will just have to actually put your mind to it. I also see a question about the entrance test. I think this is also quite important. For that, you will have to be capable and able to answer questions, logical questions. Math is also one of the topics we will have some questions for you.
Perfect. Well, I see we have different questions, especially regarding requirements. So I will really encourage everybody, all the students. We have shared all the links to both programs regarding, you really can check at the program site all the specific requirements. You can check the deadlines, you can check the documents you need to apply. This is very important. Please comply with all the requirements. And we also will give you, in the next weeks, this presentation for you to have the contact of the universities. We will share with you everything we shared during the webinar. And you can always send us emails in order to know more about these programs or in general regarding studying in Germany. I don't want to finish the webinar without saying thank you very much for being here today. As I told you, you can also send us emails to info@MyGermanUniversity if you want to know more about the study programs, if you want to know about the general question about studying in Germany. You can contact us via social media. You can also check the links we shared in the chat. Finally, if you like this webinar, it will really help us and the universities if you can rate how the webinar was in order for us to improve. It is something we usually ask students because it helps us to give you more useful information in order to apply successfully to a study program. So I thank you very much to our guest speakers. It was really a pleasure to have you here today. I thank you all, to the other representative from the university, to my colleague Jasmine, and to all the students that were here today. I hope it was helpful for you in order to know more about these programs, in order to know more about studying in Germany. And we hope to see you again at another webinar. You know, we have different topics every week, at least 2 or 3 webinars per week. So thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.